How's it going today? It's Frankie and I'm here with Wild Wednesdays. And this movie is called Shooter. It's not a bad movie. I'm a bit confused with the ending and it just felt a bit pointless, especially towards that end part. But I'm just going to break this down, as prickling as much as I can. It's about this guy called, this marksman called Bob Lee Swagger. Good name, by the way. He's played by Mark Wahlberg, who I think is more better at comedy shows and movies than he is of action movies. But he's been in action movies before. I think he's a bit more suited to comedy. But I forgot what other movies he's acted. I know he's acted in Ted, but I can't forget what the other ones were, to be honest. But yeah, and he sort of, gets told by someone called Isaac to. I don't know if he's get told to assassinate the president or help him. It was kind of confusing what he meant there. The start of the movie is good though. It just shows him, like shooting some troops or soldiers or whatever it is with his partner called Banjo, whatever you call him. I forgot what his name is, that one. And excuse me, and and then it shows this like 36 months later or something like that. So and then he finds out he gets framed for it by the Isaac guy and some other dudes, and a police officer shoots him just as soon as the president gets shot, because it's to make it look like that he's part of it, because he comes out the window. It makes it like he's escaping from it kind of makes like he's guilty sort of thing. And then he's sort of he's on the run from the police. He's a bit of he's still got a bullet in him and he's limping. He sort of has an interaction with Nick Memphis, who is important later on in the movie. He's the guy that helps him out. I think as the movie goes on anyway. I think it's like the second half of the movie. I can't remember. And then he has to go to someone called Sarah's house. He's like some sort of nurse and she helps him with the bullet. And then he goes back out and then he tells her to do something. I don't know. He gives some sort of instructions. And he also comes across Nick again somewhere when he has there's an altercation with like some police officers that want to see ID. I don't know why. Don't know why they asked him for ID, but then he had a bit of a fight here. Some of the fight scenes aren't bad. I'll give him that one, but there wasn't just enough happening. And then he sort of is with Nick on this like trying to figure out who shot the gun or wherever it was. We don't even know who did it. Like that's the sad part in this movie. They didn't have enough in terms of storyline, which confused me. And then you go to like this I forgot this. I don't know this dude's name. Some old dude and talking about some sort of like bullet and how they can exchange like a bullet or something with a different gun and how to match it and see what it is. And then they start to come in against that house where this dude, what's this dude? I forgot. It's either Lewis or another dude. I don't know his name, but he's in a wheelchair and he sort of talks about what happened like Africa to do with something happened there with Isaac and the other people where there was a sort of bombing or some sort of invasion happened. I don't know what he was talking about there, and he shoots himself, and then he calls more people in. And yeah, this is a bit of scene. I like this sort of scene. This scene has made the movie a bit watchable. This is, this shooting scene here, where Bob is just shooting all these troops that come towards a house, and he orders Nick, because Nick's like using a sniper, and he orders Nick to shoot like the pipelines or somebody in the house, which is a cool scene. Don't get me wrong, it's quite cool. And then he talks to Isaac and about something that he recorded in the tape from what that guy said about what happened, and he thought he was going to get justice for that, and so he thought, I'll go on to that bit in a minute. And then it shows him like, because Sarah's been kidnapped. There's a good scene where she shot a dude with a shotgun. That's quite cool, but she gets kidnapped still. And then he wants to meet up in like some sort of mountains or something. And then this part really confused me. There was a cool scene where somebody got shot, but then I think Isaac and the dude, what's the dude called it? Michael Sanders, man. He's like the senator. I think that's the name. And they got a bit happy because they thought that was Bob that got shot. It wasn't. It was somebody wearing some sort of metal thing around him, so the bullet wouldn't penetrate him. Goes up towards him, and somebody, I think Nick, I know, Bob takes out a sniper person, goes on and he has an interaction with them, and the dude that was holding like Sarah hostage, the dude that was like holding on to her got shot or something like that. And this part here is they were talking about justice and saying that Bob destroyed the evidence that made him innocent, that would have made him look innocent. So I can't be confused why he got rid of that. That's the whole point of him, is that he gives that to Isaac in exchange for Sarah, but then he still destroys it anyway. It doesn't really make any sense. I don't really understand. I mean, I understand what they're trying to say in the storyline. They're trying to say, oh, justice never really prevails in a lot of situations, which it don't. I mean, it's a classic example of how the world is now. Justice isn't always on our side. I mean, there could be evidence, but not much could be done about it, and that just proves that the laws are weak and probably law enforcement's weak. So this movie is a perfect illustration, especially towards the end bit where he still ends up arrested anyway, and Isaac and Microsoft still get away, sort of thing. And he sort of gives a presentation when he has the gun, and he's sort of not really, he's not selling himself properly. He's not really, I wouldn't say selling himself, he's not really like convincing himself that he's innocent. And he sort of says the gun that he had doesn't fire. Confusing. And he said he switched them and somebody else picked another gun up. But then he kind of lost me with what he was trying to say there, with his reasoning. And then Nick shows Brandt, he's a director, FBI director. I think is it FBI? FBI director Brandt. He shows him the pictures of up in Africa or something. But then that wasn't enough to try and convict Isaac, because it happened in a different country, which is quite common. If someone's from another country, they commit a crime when they move to another country. They can't really do much good documentation or something. That's what I heard. Because you can't really arrest somebody here, they weren't from here. So as much people don't like it, don't like that, it's the truth. And then Isaac sort of escapes. I think the senator, not senator, I think Brandt kind of believed him. Bob's, reasoning and explanation. So he let him go. Again, another part that confused me. He said he didn't know if he did it or not. Okay, I think he did that just so this part of the end movie can happen, where he goes and takes vengeance, just starts, shooting Isaac and Michael, and he shoots at this, I don't know, dude is, I don't know, that takes part. I don't know, he's organized, he's like an advisor, wherever he is, right? And then he, like sort of messed around with like a pipe, like a, what do you call this pipe things that cause an explosion? Because I sort of, I don't know what it's called, right? And then he destroys a house, and Sarah's, he goes back to the car, and Sarah's there, and in his car, and they drive off, sort of thing. So it's like, yeah, the ending, it just felt like a pointless movie at the end. I was really like, okay, this is interesting, got me hooked a bit. Decent action scenes, could have had a lot more in this movie. Despite being 2 hours long, they could have added a whole lot more into it. But it just felt pointless at the end, because he wasn't proven guilty and he wasn't proven innocent. And with these marksman type characters, they're neutral, they're not for anybody's side, they're just themselves. Hence why they're marksmen, because they just go by themselves, sort of thing. It still felt pointless. The ending, it didn't make any sense. That's why I can't rate the movie higher than what I'm going to give it. And I don't think it's an average movie. It's better than the I think it's a 2007 Contractor, the one that Wesley Snipes acts in. It's better than that movie because it's better quality, better acting, slightly more going on action wise. Again, I just don't think the movie's that good. I get maybe the movie was meant to end in the sense of fact justice doesn't always prevail, but it feels pointless. It just felt like a pointless. He should have been taking those dudes out anyway to begin with, and actually proven his innocence. But then even what he had on tape, that wouldn't have made any difference anyway. So it just felt really pointless and meaningless for him to go on this wild, to get chased by officers or something. But just to find out he's, that it don't make no difference. To find out he's not guilty or not innocent. It's confusing me now. I don't know right now too much because I don't be too confused. So where's with all these type of movies where someone has been told to take out somebody and then they say, oh, I can't do it anymore, it's not my thing. Or they saw some give like an educational tip, something mathematical, just like Bob did, where he's talking about the bullet trajectory or the distance or whatever. I didn't want to hear that. That complicated me. That fried my brain, just hearing that. So it's just typical of these type of characters that behave that way, but then they eventually do it. When they mean no, they actually mean yes, to be honest. So it's just typical that they're not going to turn that down. I don't think they offered him money though, so could have done that at least. But that was all that happened mostly in the movie. I just think that's really it. Are we rating? I think it's going to be one number. That's a 7. It felt like a 7 throughout the movie. I wanted to give it an 8 because it's a bit of action. The action wasn't that intense for me and there wasn't a lot going on. Acting's good, storyline's good. However, the storyline got a bit jagged and it got a bit confusing towards the end. That's why I think this movie can't be rated that high and it can't be rated that low, because I do think there's good aspects that I like. It definitely don't deserve a 5, it don't deserve a 6. I think it's slightly above average for me. Perfect characters, good dialogue, good little bits and pieces of action, but then it's just the storyline kind of drifted off kind of towards the end, which kind of confused it. It just felt pointless to do an ending like that. They must have ended it with him being innocent and one of Isaac's guys being arrested for something. So yeah, anyways, I think that's it for this video. 7 out of 10 it is. If you enjoyed the video, please give a like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification below. So see you in the next video.